Spider-Man No Way Home is the third installment of the standalone Spider-Man series within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Up until now, we have got to witness storylines that aren't quite mature and are more focused on a teenage Spidey, still trying to figure out the meaning of being a hero. But the latest movie is rumored to introduce many new and returning characters, so we might finally see Peter Parker stepping up his game and delivering a story fitting for a movie that has cast half of Hollywood. Welcome to COMICSOUP, where we talk about everything Marvel. In today's video, we'll be taking a closer look at Spider-Man No Way Home, discussing the cast, the characters, how these two factors are going to affect the overall premise of the story, and how it will determine the future of our favorite wall crawler. Every major confirmed character. When I say this movie has cast half of Hollywood, it's no joke. I mean it. These guys went overboard with the amount of talent they welcomed into this movie. Let's start things off by talking about the awesome cliffhanger in Spider-Man Far From Home. The movie ends with J.K. Simmons appearing as J. Jonah Jameson. Now that we know that variants are a thing thanks to the Loki series, and if the original Spider-Man trilogy is part of the Multiverse branch that we saw in Loki, then this Jonah Jameson might just be a variant of the original from the Sony Spider-Man trilogy. J.K. Simmons has also been confirmed for No Way Home, and is likely to be against Spider-Man as always.
Now I'm in the new version of that universe, which I've also embraced and having a great time in, and look forward to, maybe more.
Other notable additions to the exciting cast are Jamie Foxx's Electro, and yet again we can theorize that this Electro is a variant of the one we saw in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But since we are talking about the multiverse and how No Way Home might be going that route too, considering the movie is set to take place around the same time as Multiverse of Madness, the Electro Jamie Foxx is likely playing in No Way Home is the same Electro we saw in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He just made his way into the sacred timeline due to some strange hocus pocus, pun intended. Then we have Doctor Strange, who will be playing a key role in introducing new characters and presenting the multiversal story that No Way Home is intending to tell. Since the movie is focused around Tom Holland's Spidey, we might not see much emphasis on heroes like Strange, but his presence will be making major differences. Finally, the most anticipated return is of Alfred Molina's Otto Octavius. This addition might be a game-changer, as Doc Ock can serve as a long-time villain for not just Spider-Man, but the Avengers themselves. He could also be the key to introducing the Sinister Six. Talking about the Sinister Six, let's take a look at the villains and how they will affect the movie. The birth of the Six. Since we are on the topic of some hardcore Spider-Man villains making their MCU debut, there are some major speculations out there that suggest we might be seeing the birth of the Sinister Six, one of the most popular supervillain factions out there. With Electro and Doc Ock coming into play, this might be the perfect time for Marvel to introduce or at least set up the birth of the Sinister Six. Sinister Six originally consisted of Doc Ock, Kraven the Hunter, Electro, Vulture, Sandman, and of course Mysterio. With Mysterio seemingly out of the picture, unless of course his death was just another illusion, there is one more spot for a supervillain to complete the Sinister Six. So who could it be? If you take a closer look into the post-credits scene of Spider-Man Homecoming, you can see that the Vulture is talking to a random dude with a hideous scar on his face. In case you didn't know who this is, he's Scorpion. Scorpion is a long-time nemesis of Spider-Man in the comics. When they do cross paths now and then, Scorpion does give Spidey a harder time than most of his other foes do.
You know who he is?
Now, we don't know if this MCU Scorpion already knows the MCU Spidey, but judging from his interaction with the Vulture, he seems to know or has experienced enough to develop a grudge against Pete. However, Michael Keaton has not been confirmed as an official cast member yet, so we're not sure if the Vulture is making an appearance in No Way Home. There are also no sources that hint at the presence of Scorpion's character in the movie, so it's highly unlikely that we will get to see these two. But, like we said before, this might not just be the time for an official look into the Sinister Six. However, we are pretty much sure to get at least a couple of hints with Kraven the Hunter confirmed to make his MCU debut sometime soon. It would be an absolute waste to let his phenomenal faction slip away so easily. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. We have now entered the main event of today's video. I mean, we all knew this discussion was coming up at some point, and now that you've stayed with us this long, we shall deliver.
Pizza time.
Yes, there have been major rumors and speculations that two of the best actors to play Spidey are looking to join young Tommy. It has not yet been confirmed that Maguire and Garfield will be present for the movie, though there have been news and image sources that indicate they have been going on and off the set of No Way Home. So, we are here to make two main assumptions. What happens if they are in the movie, and how will it affect the story if they aren't, as well as how all of that is gonna bode. Since characters from the universe of Maguire and Garfield Spider-Man are joining the case, they are sure to be mentioned somewhere, even if they're not present in the movie. It is highly likely that if these two do not make it into the movies, Marvel will have an explanation prepared. Their existence will most likely be confirmed through some sort of dialogue or some flashback scenario. So, where will they be if they exist but are not in No Way Home? For starters, they could just be written off as dead, but that might not happen as killing such prominent figures off screen is something filmmakers don't usually do. The logical explanation would be that amidst the multiversal chaos that brought Doc Ock and Electro into the sacred timeline, our two Spideys were transported into a different timeline and are now stuck there. But none of this is likely to happen, so let's talk about what happens if they are in the movie. Spiderverse is what's gonna happen if we get lucky enough to see all three Spider-Man in the same movie. Now, they most probably won't follow the original Spiderverse comics, but the narrative will be similar. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man can be introduced as an older, more experienced Spidey, who will probably guide the team ahead. Garfield Spider-Man could be introduced as the Ultimate Spider-Man. The reason why he is the most suited for this role is that he isn't as old as Tobey's Spidey, but is much more experienced than Holland's. Should we see a team-up like this, it is safe to expect the same wave of force from the villain side. With the formation of three Spider-Man, Marvel has to come up with some very tough and believable villains, who could seem like they pose a real threat. Sinister Six's fate is uncertain, however we have a hidden villain amidst the cast, who is rumoured to make his debut regardless of what happens to Maguire and Garfield. Jacob Batalon's Ned Leeds is a character that has been one of the major highlights in the MCU Spider-Man scene. Up until now, Ned has been seen as Peter's ally who helps him in his superhero life after discovering his identity. However, Marvel has been teasing a certain villain for a long time, and it might come in the form of Peter's greatest ally. Hobgoblin is one of the most important and dangerous amidst the Webhead's gallery of rogues. He is a villain inspired by the Green Goblin, but is more dangerous than him and much more ruthless. Ned has taken on the mantle of this villain in the comics once, and if some tragedy were to occur in No Way Home, there is no guarantee he won't take on the mantle in the movies as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Tie-in with Venom. While these are all the things that are near confirmed or highly anticipated to happen, we are forgetting that Venom movies are around the corner, and they are absolute bangers. No Way Home may end with a cliffhanger or a definitive conclusion, but it is okay to expect that this ending might set up the ground for Venom's monstrous debut in the MCU. Of course, this will require another multiversal shenanigan, but hey, it's not like we're running short of those these days. Isn't that right, Loki? If you've stuck around to the end, then we appreciate your support, and we would love it if you could give us a thumbs up and check out one of these videos you see on your screen. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!